Welcome to another episode. My name is Dean Vash. You can find me on X at #Kangas, Instagram #Kangaroos Podcast. Tonight, I welcome back my regular Jesse Cardinal. Jesse, welcome to the show. And we are here to review our superb performance against the Eagles Sunday afternoon at the Fortress in Banbury. You must have been happy with that win, Jesse. Sense the sarcasm.
It's lucky Mark isn't on the show. I think it's probably that's probably the best way of putting it. He's not happy. I think he made everyone on socials aware that he's not happy. Look, I probably wasn't as. I do prescribe to the fact that, you know, when you're in a position like we are, you do forget to win. And I think against both West Coast and Richmond, there was a bit of stage fright in terms of we were favourite, we were better team, and then we just panicked and played weird football and then decided at the end that we need to play. And it was almost like I think in both cases, the opposition getting the lead kind of spooked us and then we went into gear. Yeah, look, it was an interesting game. I think, look, I take into account, a lot of people say West Coast are absolutely terrible. They were a goal down against Geelong last week. In the last quarter, I think. Like, they were right in there until the very end against Geelong. I know that they've been a terrible team this year, but I actually think their recent form isn't horrible. Like, Geelong's a good team. Geelong are probably the best. Well, they might even be the best team. They made a mockery of the Suns on the weekend, and they kept up with them right until the end. I think their recent form has actually not been too bad, and people just aren't looking at it. They're just seeing West Coast as a team. Their pressure was elite. Their tackling was elite. And look, obviously, I think the easiest way of saying it is we were lucky to get away with a win. If they had been piling on the goals, you could argue maybe that would have knocked us into gear and that we would have played a different brand a bit earlier. There were some positives. There were some negatives. There's some things we still need to sort out. And there's some things we're going to need to sort out before we play Freo this week, because that's a completely different ball game.
No, definitely. I mean, do you go in obviously get the win. Do you go in a bit more optimistic that we did get the win and we may have found something in the last quarter, Jesse? Or are you concerned about the first three quarters and the pattern that was going on there? Because, yeah, it was some of the worst or dire football that you'll ever see. There was no excitement, lacked air. It was just, there was nothing there.
It was very boring, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It was very, very boring. Look, I think the main thing is you've got to think about it over the last month. We played, over the last month and a half, really. We played well against Port, played well against Brisbane, played decent against Essendon for a half. I mean, we're coming off 2 wins and a draw in the last month. We're the informed team of the comp. Who's better than us in recent form? There are not many. Most would have had a loss. Yeah, look, I don't think it's impossible that we win this week. I think it's very naive to say you play bad against a bad team and thus you're going to get blown away the week later, because that doesn't. We can play completely different. If we play like we did against, Port or Brisbane, or even, you got to remember, we were ahead of Adelaide in the third quarter. We were ahead of the Suns in the third quarter. I think that's probably a better. You can say Brisbane have been playing poor football, sure. You can say Port Adelaide are crap. They probably are a little bit, and they probably were at the time. But Gold Coast and Adelaide, for me, are the biggest sign, because they're quality, probably top 4 teams this year. And we were able to stay with them until the third quarter. We were leaking.
Collingwood as well.
Yeah, and even Collingwood, even with the personnel missing. Look, we were missing. We've still got some issues that we need to sort out. But there were positives from this weekend's game. I actually, a lot of people are having a go at the defense again and saying, we should have given up a big score. I think I said during the game, I actually think our key defenses were all right. I actually thought our defense was pretty good.
Probably saved us the game in the first 3 quarters, Jesse.
With the amount of entries. 100%. With the amount of entries they were getting, they should have scored a lot more. Like, even with the amount of behinds they were getting, at one point they were like 30 inside 50s for 1 goal, 8 or something.
Yeah, it was 37 inside 50s, I think they had, or 27, I think it was, and they only had one goal. That was their first goal from
Yeah,
27.
and the
Yeah.
behinds are irrelevant for mine because they probably only scored two or three of them. Some of them were difficult shots. I think there was two that were sodas, but either which way, I thought the defense like Pink did a fantastic job on Oscar Allen, who kicked 3 or 4 against the Cats the week
Yeah,
before.
4. Mm.
Like he did a fantastic job, Toby Pink. People shouldn't overlook that. And I actually didn't think Logue was terrible. I think that he's not match fit still.
Mm. Well, it looks like. Oh, no, you're back, Jesse.
I'm back. Good.
Yeah. Yeah, no,
Oh,
all good.
don't know what
Keep
happened
going,
there.
mate.
But yeah. Look, I just think that I just think that there's a bit of work we need to do, and I still think that we're throwing around a little bit too much with the game plan. Like the fact that Sheasel came out and said, we had a chat with the coaching staff and we need to be more settled in positions. Why are the players having to do that? One, I mean, obviously it's probably not as simple as that, but it just looks like we're playing too much around the game style. I just want to. We should be playing the game style we played in the last quarter, and I think the reason we're not is because we're worried about our defense being terrible. I would be addressing the defense, but still playing offensive football. I think otherwise we're just trying to cover for ourselves.
The balance was well off in the first 3 quarters. We didn't know when to go long. We didn't know when to attack.
Panicked.
Yeah, it was really weird. And the back line, you mentioned them, 51 inside 50s to 18. It was at one stage. They were working overtime, and on a public holiday, that's double time and a half, Jesse. So
100%.
Yeah, and you mentioned Toby Pink there. Kept to keep Oscar Allen goalless.
Yeah, and he only had. I think he missed one. Did he have one behind?
Yeah, one behind.
I'm surprised he didn't get a coach's vote, to be honest. That's what I was just checking in the background. Obviously, Sherry got the 9, Colby got 9, Edwards got 5. He did a fantastic job in luck. He seems to always do a fantastic job in luck. I really rate
He's
Edwards.
a good player, actually.
Yeah, God, I'd love him. Handy young defender. Liam Baker, he's solid in the middle. 2 for Caleb Daniel. Was obviously Caleb Daniel's best game for the club. And we'll talk about that one a little bit later. And then Elijah Stewart and Simpkin 1. Surprised Pink didn't get one because I thought he did a really, really good job.
He deserved one, well, at least one, to be honest with you.
Yeah. I was going to say I actually thought McDonald was actually pretty solid as well. A lot of people were having to go at McDonald. I don't know why. I actually think he was pretty.
He's playing on Liam Baker. Not Liam Baker. Liam Ryan. Sorry.
Yeah.
He's a dangerous forward.
Did a good job on him, I thought.
Yeah.
For someone much quicker than him, I think he did a really good job. I actually think the defense, for the most part, did pretty good. If you look at their scores, Jack Williams kicked 2. Tyler Brockman, who was playing, a fair bit of midfield, kicked 1. Cole, Elijah Stewart. If you look at their behinds, Jack Hutchinson, Archer Reed, Harley Reid, a lot of the players were actually not key position players or necessary small forwards. A lot of them were midfielders, wingers, or half forward flankers who were coming up the ground and stuff like that. So I actually think the defense was pretty good. That wasn't the problem. That was not the problem.
How did you see the role of McKercher going back to the back line after being there last year? 35 touches, 89% disposal efficiency, 5 scoring involvement, 613 metres gained. Looked at home in the back line, didn't he?
Yeah, look, I said to you before we joined, the main thing for me was last year he was getting a lot of disposal. Like there was one game where he got 35 disposals. I think 1 was contested. I think it was the most crazy record I've ever seen. Well, he had 40 disposals, 1 contested. And his impact with it, there was a lot of pill. So we all go, hey, that's fantastic. But it wasn't impactful per se. I'll give you an example. His player rating and his player rating was always really low last year. It was, it was okay, but it wasn't, like a Sheasel, for example.
Yeah.
His player rating on the weekend was 19.2, which was second on the ground. Plus, obviously, he got 144 champion data points. So he, by the 2 main metrics, was the second best player on the ground. I said to you before we joined, I think his time up forward and playing up the ground has transitioned a little bit. So I think while he was playing down back, he looked a lot more. He just looked a lot more composed, and I think he was just more impactful with the ball. I mean, he had 15 handballs, 20 kicks, 88 points, 6 disposal efficiency, 613 meters gained, 4 inside 50s. He had 8 contested possessions, so that's still a pretty good number.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah.
It's pretty good. Like it's actually a very, very solid game. The main one, he had the 1 goal assist and 5 score involvements. And, given that we didn't really score much, that's pretty good. So, yeah, that was the main one for me. Some people had a go at it. Well, if you're playing down back, you can't do 1 tackle, but, we don't tackle generally. So let's not have a go at him for that. We know he can tackle. He had 10 tackles playing up forward against Richmond. So,
yeah.
Yeah, look, I actually much prefer him coming off the half back line. I think that him playing off the half back line meant that O'Sullivan got to play on the wing, and I think O'Sullivan looked better on the wing than he does down back. I just think it means that he can drift up forward a little bit more. And we know that he's a good mark, and I think he can turn into I think he will be a winger. I look at him and go, he is a player who ends up on the wing. That's just what I see when I look at him. So, I think that it just unlocks a few pieces. Having him at the half back line frees, as I said, O'Sullivan up, means Sheasel can play up the ground.
I might as well talk about Finn O'Sullivan while you're on him. I was going to mention him a bit later, but what do you have here? He had 11 possessions in the second half. His first goal for the club. Playing more on the wing, like he said. I do like him getting posies up the ground too, Jesse. He's a very classy user, and I like him delivering inside that forward 50 because, generally speaking, about 70% of our list don't know how to kick the ball inside forward 50, and he's one of them that generally will hit a target.
Yeah, look, absolutely. Look, 17 disposals, fantastic. He got 90 champion data points, which I think would be his highest.
Was it his best game, do you think? Or
yeah, I do. Yeah. You take the goal away, I think it was. That last quarter, he was really solid defensively, I thought. Like, he had the 3 tackles, but he had 18 pressure acts. Like, that's pretty decent for a young kid.
Yeah.
The only ones with more than him were Constanti, Wardlaw. So I thought that he applied a heap of pressure. He was very hard at the contest in that last quarter. Like, there was a lot of 50-50s, 1%ers, whatever you want to call them, where he was along the wing, he would win the ball, and he would just keep the ball moving. Because he's quite hard. Like, he's quite I don't want to say solid, but he goes in pretty hard for someone of his build. Like, he seems like a tough kid. I thought it was his best game for the club, and I think he'll get a lot of confidence from that. But I like him up. Yeah, I like him up the ground a little bit more. I mean, we're talking about someone who played VFL in the Richmond game last year, and I think he kicked 2 goals or 3 goals. He only had like 5 disposals. But, I've been surprised that we haven't played him as a forward a little bit and just see what he can do up there. So I don't mind him on the wing drifting forward. I reckon that could make him a bit, because I think he's a legitimate scoring option, more of a scoring option than a McKercher. I think McKercher gets a little bit lost. Doesn't know, he's not going to mark the ball running out. While O'Sullivan is a mark above his head, strong mark, meant to be a good, some good goal sense about him. So I don't mind that. And I think, it unlocks McKercher. We do need someone behind the ball to move the ball out with pace. So, I just think that it made the Magnets look a lot better. It may have not translated like that for the whole game, but I don't really... O'Sullivan was playing mostly down back until the second half. I think when Robert Hansen Jr. came on, they moved Magnets around. I don't know what they did, but O'Sullivan just seemed to play further up the ground after half-time. Not sure why. I think maybe Fisher was getting a lot of games in a lot of time on the wing, and then they moved him to be just a genuine forward, and it meant that O'Sullivan took that wing spot, and they just rejigged things around. That seemed to work for me. I liked it. This week I'd be going in with O'Sullivan starting on the wing and McKercher on the halfback flank.
I think they'll stick with that. I mean, we need an line breaking ability in the back line, that back 50. We don't have it. Sheasel, Finn O'Sullivan, whoever you have back there, they're very much stop them, and look for the chip kick sideways almost. And yeah, we need someone with a bit of line breaking ability. And you see that coming to fruition the last quarter where we got that. I think Fisher kicked it behind where we got the links in the chain, and McKercher sort of started that because of his. He's just his pace and his line breaking ability. So, and Fido Sullivan, like you said, he does look a lot better up the field. He's a typical country boy, very tough and hard at it. So, he's going to be a player. There's no doubt about that. But unfortunately, we got the Charlie Comben injury. He was playing really well. He was handy with Toby Pink playing on the opposition's best forward the last few weeks. He's been able to help and float over and get a few intercepts. He'll be a loss, won't he, going through the next few weeks? Apparently, he's out for 2 to 3 weeks. I think you were saying off air.
Yeah, he was. So the injury report that came out today was 2 to 3 weeks, which is really disappointing. It's a real shame. Real shame. It could have been a lot worse, I thought. So to get away with 2 to 3 almost feels like a little bit of a win. The weird one is, as we're talking about, Core apparently is 3 to 4. So it really means that this week going up against Freo, who's going to roll out Tracy, Amiss and
Jackson, I think.
Jackson or Darcy.
He'll play a little bit for.
And is it Hurd or?
They do have another tool.
I don't know what his name is. I don't mind. He's got he has one of the all-time great celebrations when he kicks a goal. They are a tall forward line. They're a tall forward line, and I think that's going to challenge us a little bit. It's going to be interesting to see Patrick Voss. I'm saying Voss. Wrong champion.
That's right.
Like he kicked 3 against the Suns last week, before their bye. They're gonna play Patrick Voss, one of their resting ruckmen, Jai Amiss, and Josh Tracy as a forward line. That's 4 talls. Now McDonald probably can go to one of them. Voss probably. Maybe, but it means that you still need 3 defenders for mine. Like, I don't know any other way of matching up against them.
Yeah, are you confident in Logue?
Look, as I said, I don't think he was as bad as people thought he was. I don't think he looked fantastic, but I thought he did okay.
Yeah, I thought he was serviceable.
Like, I thought he was he any worse than Core?
No, not really.
I think it was
basically a sideways move. Almost.
Yeah, and I'd almost argue that he's got more upside than Core once he gets match fit. Like he's a first round pick. I don't know, and he's a lot younger. I don't know what he was like. I don't know what he was ranked on the ground or what he had.
I hardly noticed him, to be honest with you.
What do you have? He had the 9 disposals, but he went at 88.9% efficiency, probably almost 200 metres gained, so his kicks weren't bad. 5 contested possessions. So, you like that. He had the 5 marks. 2 of them were contested, which was the third most for North.
He's a good when he's been at his best, he's been a good intercept player.
We're expecting him. Yeah, we're expecting him to be the key defender. And I don't think he is the number 1 key defender. I think he is the Charlie Comben interceptor type.
I think that's what he'll play this week. He plays on the second.
Yeah.
He'll probably play on the Voss. And try and help out Toby Pink.
Or the resting ruck, like either Jackson or Darcy. And then Pink goes to probably Josh Tracy or Jai Amiss. And then we probably need to bring someone in, whether or not we'll get to the VFL, but I think we have to bring another tall in. I just don't think Freo is the type of game that we can play smalls against, unfortunately.
No, probably not.
So the
Callum Dawson looked okay in the VFL. Was quite
solid.
I think he's a safe bet.
Yeah, I watched the whole game and like he was. I thought he was okay. I think the main thing for us is that because we're playing Will Dawson up forward. I would love to give Will Dawson a go because I just see there being a lot more upside. But the problem is that he's playing uniquely as a forward, meaning you'd have to go to Whitlock, who's just not match fit yet.
No, he's I'm not too sure if I put in Whitlock even if he was this week.
I mean,
he still looks very skinny to me, Jesse. He looks very raw.
He had 12 disposals. So did Cal Dawson. He had one less mark. He did one more tackle.
Well, that's bonus.
So that's a bonus. Well, the other option is Eddie Ford.
Well, yeah, I don't think they're going to play him.
No, they don't rate him. They don't rate him.
They don't like him. So we'll talk about another player that I don't like in there too soon. So yeah, but look, we'll move past the back line.
Yep.
I don't think there's too much concern there. Even if Callum Dawson, whoever comes in, I'm not even.
No, it's just a tall for a tall. I wouldn't touch anything else in the back line. Caleb Daniel coming off one half back flank.
Yeah,
and I thought he was good. And McKercher coming off the other half back, and then you got Hardiman down there as the genuine small defender. When Archer comes back, you can probably look at playing when Archer comes back, I would be looking at playing probably two key defenders, so being a bit more mobile. So you're looking at probably a Pink and we'll say Charlie Comden for argument's sake, and then you're playing McDonald, Archer, Hardiman, and then
you got your rebound defenders.
Your rebounders.
Yeah. No, I'm actually not too worried about it. It's the midfield is where it was at, and
you mean the part of the ground that we've invested 25.
I know, and why we got. I'm not look. We'll talk about West Coast and who they had in the midfield. Jack Graham, Elijah Hewitt, Brady Hoff.
Yep.
I mean, with this midfield, LDU, Wardlaw, Parker, Sheasel, whoever else you want to throw in it, for the first three quarters, they absolutely got dominated against. And that's not good enough, is it? Like, I mean, I'm not disrespecting these players. They're workhorses and they're developing. But, we should be, that last quarter should have been, for at least three quarters, we should have been dominating that midfield.
Well, I'll put it this way. We had 42 to 24 clearances, yeah? So dominated the clearance game. But what impact did we have from clearance? What impact did we have from clearance at all? Like, score origin, all right? Defensive half, we scored 20. Forward half, 36. Centre bounce, one goal. Yeah. From all of that dominance, one goal.
Yeah.
How? How? The problem is that, to your point, in terms of midfield minutes, Brady Hoff was their main one, then Harley Reid, Jack Graham, Elijah Hewitt, Liam Ryan got some. I don't mind that. Looks, adds a bit of X factor. I didn't mind Tyler Brockman in there as well. Just again, it adds a smaller player with a bit of agility, like that Cozzy Pickett going in the middle.
Yeah, that's
not trying to just link them together because obviously they're Indigenous, but they're very small, nimble type of player, and it just adds a different dynamic. Well, we just roll out 5 people who know they're a first round pick on $1.6 million and know that they don't have to do anything. I think that's honestly the main thing. Let's use Brady Hoff as an example because he had 17 disposals, went at 70%, 7 contested. How many tackles do you reckon he had?
Yeah, did he have 8?
8. Yep, 8. Yeah. Their main midfielder had 8 tackles. Tyler Brockman, 6. Harley Reid, he laid 5. He did. Hunt. When's Hunt ever been tough? 5 tackles. Jack Graham, 5. Liam Baker, 5. Harry Edwards, 5. Harry Edwards is tall. He's laying 5 tackles. How many players did we have who laid over 5 tackles? 5. We had Tristan Jerry who laid... No, we had Tristan Jerry who had 6. We had LDU who laid 6. I would say most at the end. Luke Parker, 7. You can expect that from him. Harry Sheasel, 7. Because we'll get to him. George Wardlaw, 7. I was, I can be critical of George's game. It was probably his worst game for the club in terms of impact. But I'll give you one thing. He was our highest tackler along with Parker and Sheasel, and he had 20 pressure acts. So,
just looking at it now.
Yeah. Like, sure, he only had, he can't have 9 disposals for a game. That's not getting the job done. But he only had, 37% midfield time, CBA. He still had the 20 tackles. I don't know where they're playing him. The problem is with George is it's a little bit the same as LDU and Phillips that we'll get to, where they can't play other positions. Like, I don't know what other position you're playing George Wardlaw in.
No, and look, he's a midfielder, and that's what he should be. He should be taking
Yeah.
that next step. Oh, look,
Look, it was a bad game.
Pressure.
We're not going to be critical of him on one bad game, but I think even with a bad game, he laid 20 tackles. He laid the seven tackles and 20 pressure acts, which is still decent. There's an argument to say whether or not, but yeah, young kid's able to have a bad game.
Yeah, and LDU 10 touches till 3/4 time was barely cited for most of the game. That's the one that hurts, Jesse. I mean, this guy's on big money.
With the most midfield time, he had 79% of the CBA. Powell had 68%. So the only two players that we had over 50% were Powell and LDU. LDU, I thought, had mediocre impact. Powell had 30 disposals compared to LDU's 18. He had less champion data points and less player rating points.
It turns it over 9 times.
Yeah. I don't think he's. Look, I've said this before. I like him on the wing. He's actually a good disposer of the ball, especially by hand.
Yeah.
I don't like him in the guts. Yeah, I don't like him in the guts because he's not. If you look at our midfield mix, he's not the one trying to win the ball at the ground level. Like Wardlaw, Sheasel, Phillips, if he is playing, they're the ones who go get the ball. LDU can, Parker does, even Simpkin does. LDU can, but he prefers to be the one on the outside to run out. Powell sits on the outside, gets the ball, wheels around the back of the contest, and then just hacks it forward and it gets intercepted. So I actually prefer him on the outside where he's got a bit more time and he can use his handballing. I much prefer him on the wing. Or on the forward flank.
Yeah. It's hard to be critical of someone that had 30 touches and try to have an impact, especially when we talk about LDU who had 10 touches, Wardlaw had 9.
Exactly.
He definitely wasn't the worst, but LDU is the one that hurts. Do you think having Tristan Xerri dominating in the ruck position, almost playing as extra midfielder, is almost hurting the other players? They seem to be waiting for him to do everything, and they just sit on the outside. Yeah, they just rely too much on him.
Well, he had 10 clearances, which was double
himself.
Any other player on the North team. Look, there's probably a bit to that, which is when he's not tapping it, he taps it to himself.
Yeah.
He takes the ball out and then disposes of it, and that's fine. But it does mean that, the impact isn't necessarily always the best from clearance. I mean, if you look at the clearances, he had 10, Powell had 5, Colby McKercher had 5.
He didn't even have a CBA.
No, that's 5 coming in at the stoppage.
Yeah.
That's stoppage clearances, which is a completely different problem about getting Colby into the midfield for a few CBAs. But I mean, that's a different problem. LDU only had the 4 clearances, which is a huge worry. Parker got minimum midfield time. Sheasel probably had his 3 clearances at the end. Look, there's probably some logic in what you're saying in terms of it does hurt the other players. I just don't think that the midfield mix was right for 3/4. I didn't like. We were talking about it before we joined around who had the CBAs in each quarter, and I think the big one for me was Sheasel went from none to just rotting up forward to 1 rotting up forward to let's get him into the midfield a little bit. Oh, hang on, he's actually doing something. He's had a good 3rd quarter. Let's put him in the midfield as the main midfielder. Oh my God, he's won us the game.
Well,
who's the brain dead coach who's saying let him just rot up forward for more than half a game? Look, I understand the coaches know better than us. Sure, we're just people watching on TV. We're just fans. I get that, but it was just fucking stupid. I'm going to be blunt. It was so stupid, and it was so evident that you needed to try something. We don't try anything different. It's always the same mix of midfielders. Like, put Zer, I understand we're winning the clearance, and they probably think, well, we're winning the clearance game. But it's almost like they're playing Supercoach. They're just looking at the stats. Oh, yeah, they're winning the clearance game, so that's fantastic. Well, it's not if you're not scoring from it. If you're not, if you're not doing anything with it, try someone else in the midfield who actually might be able to get the ball. You might have less clearances, but when they do it, they're more impact. I'd rather draw on the clearances, but then be more impactful than win the clearances by almost double and not have any impact from them.
It's like I went to the Big Freeze game yesterday, and I've seen Max Gawn. When they win clearances, Melbourne, it's like to Cozzy Pickett, who handballs to Petrarca, then handballs to Oliver, and they've got a good clearance. They get the ball deep inside 50. Sherry taps it, and we just kick it forward, and that's the clearance.
Who do you reckon had the most CBA time on the ground yesterday at the Big Freeze game?
The most CBAs.
It was equal.
Melbourne or Collingwood?
No, or both teams. Both teams. There was two players on top. They had exactly the same amount.
One of them Ned Long?
Well, one's no. They're both Melbourne players. If that helps. There was two Melbourne players who had 92% CBA. I've never seen a midfielder get 92% CBA. So one was Max Gawn.
No. Petrarca. No. Pickett.
Cozzy Pickett.
Yeah, right. Okay.
Cozzy Pickett. I have never seen that number. I'm going to check the AFL app just to double check that that's actually accurate. Yep. 22 for Pickett and Gawn.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
21
it's
for
Petrarca. It's not a bad mix too, to be honest with you, Jesse. It's quite exciting to watch.
So it means your main midfield mix is Cozzy Pickett, Park Max Gawn, obviously elite tap ruckman. But you got Cozzy Pickett, Petrarca, Oliver had 71, Trent Rivers has 50. He had something different again. Van Ruin goes in there for the break. But yes, you're relying on few compared to a Collingwood who had Dacos at 83, Cameron 83, Scott Pendlebury 71, Ned Long 54, McCreary 42. Like that's a great example of getting someone different in there. Yeah, Still Sidebottom 32, Jack Crisp 17. So you mix it and match it a bit. But who's our Cozzy Pickett? Who's going in there and is able to just get the ball and just exit it with pace?
Yeah, that's something we're really lacking because they all seem to do a similar thing: get the ball and just kick it forward.
Like Simpkin can dance around and sidestep. LDU can explode from the contest, but I wouldn't say it's exploding with pace. It is explosive, but it's explosive the first few steps. It's not genuine pace. You're going to burn off your opponent, like especially a very quick opponent. Power's not quick. Wardlaw can explode for short distance. Sheasel's not quick. McKerch is the quickest.
But he'll create space for someone else with his class too.
Yeah, well, it's like the Pendlebury type of player.
Yeah, Pendlebury, Dacos as well. But Dacos can go both ways.
Yeah, I just think there was an opportunity. I would have liked to have seen something a little bit different. I mean, you can argue, Cozzy Pickett from 92% only had 3 clearances. Oh, okay, fine. But he had 21 pressure acts. He kicked 3 goals playing as a midfielder.
It puts a lot of panic into the opposition because they're worried about what he's doing. They start really getting close to him. And it
only 3 tackles. Oliver had 7 tackles. I mean, Pickett only had 3.
He's getting back to his best, Oliver too.
Yeah, but the pressure acts were the main one.
What puzzled me even more, Jesse, you mentioned Harry Shoes in the first half. He spent 12 minutes in a row on the bench in the second quarter. I think he had 58% game time in the first half or something like that. That is ridiculous. Yeah. That's one of the lowest on the ground. And he's your best player at the club. Look, what are you doing? You're not giving him confidence. And then you give him, like you said, to give him the keys last quarter. Well, the game's in the shit. And he pulls out 12 touches, 2 goal assists, 4 scoring involvements, 17 pressure acts, 131 metres gained, and was a match winner, effectively, Jesse. He was Nick Dacos in the last quarter. So, it's puzzling.
Unless he's injured or he's not 100% fit, then there's no excuse for him being on the bench that long, other than just poor management, player management, management.
Yeah, another player, Luke Parker. He did have a CBA in the first half, which I don't mind. I've been saying it for weeks. We need to see other ones coming through. Yeah, but if they aren't going to show up like they did in the first half, then he has to get in there. And he had 17 touches in the second half after playing in the forward 50 the first half.
Yeah, I think that you need one of him, Wardlaw, or Phillips, and I know we'll get to him, but you need that type of player at the contest at one point in time because they all tackle, they all actually go and win the ball from the ground, like Cunnington type. They're the only three who are the hard roll the sleeves up, get into the contest.
Yeah.
And probably Simpkin to a lesser degree, but those three in terms of winning the hard ball out, well, you need one of them at any one time. And I think we were running too much with different mixes that I just don't understand. It doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah, you're basically saying they all do the same shit, which is not too much half the time. Yeah.
No, there's nothing. And I know, look, we're focusing on a midfield and its centre bounce mix, and we did dominate it. I understand that. But a lot of that is Tristan, and a lot of that is again they get the ball out and they do nothing with it.
Yeah, it's not
like it was like it's like we saw it in the Doggies game. Beat them in the clearance, did nothing with it. Melbourne corrected it. It's not our main problem, but if I'm going to be more critical of the midfielders, it's the lack of pressure, the lack of tackling, the lack of transition running both ways defensively. It's not actually the clearance game. I am critical of them obviously hacking the ball forward, sure, but my main problem is that the defenders are getting the ball out. We were getting the ball outside of our 50. But then it was just coming straight back in. Now, some of that is the forwards. Absolutely. Being outmarked, not being in the right positions, etc. But some of that is the midfielders. And that's the concern for mine.
Yeah, the midfield, I mean, this is what we built our list around. That's what Brawley said when he first came to the job. We're building our list around the midfield, and that's it. That's how we're going to be successful. And right now, it's been pretty average through the first half of the year, which is not a bad thing. There's room for improvement. Outside probably the Melbourne game, they haven't really taken any games by the scruff of their necks. So, yeah.
It's probably worth saying we scored 34 points from stoppage.
Yeah.
We don't score from the centre bounce. 6 from centre bounce. We don't score from the centre bounce, which sure is not a high number for any team, but most of our score has to come from stoppage. If we don't score from stoppage, we got 22 from turnover and 1 from a kick in, which is a miracle. West Coast scored 43 points from our turnover.
Yeah.
That says it all. That says it all.
Yeah,
it's just not good enough. And like West Coast were younger than us. They were less experienced than us. They out-pressured us something shocking.
Oh, look, their pressure was very good for a bottom team.
81 tackles. We had tackles inside.
Their pressure rating was
comical.
over 190 most of the game too. So
yeah, and you could argue that they dropped off.
Yeah, last
and that led us back in.
Yeah, but yeah, well, I guess we'll take the win and
you take it. 4 points is 4 points.
Yeah, at the end of the day, that's
no one's remembering this next year.
No, I probably won't even remember it next week when the first bounce starts against Fremantle.
Exactly. Look, you look at the ladder at the end of the year and you forget about the games you won and lost.
No, pretty quickly too after time. We'll go to the forward line. Nick Larkey, scoreless for the game, out of form. 3 free kicks against. Edwards is a good up-and-coming player. We mentioned that, but he looks pretty ordinary at the moment, Jesse.
I think Edwards has done a good job on Larkey a couple of times from memory.
Yes.
He's a good player. Look, I guess the silver lining there is that we won a game and Larkey did nothing. And he did nothing, let's be honest. Paul Curtis kicked 3. 1 was freakish from the boundary. He was handy, obviously. Look, he kicks 3 goals. That's obviously really important. Cam Zurhaar kicks 2. That mark at the end, clutch. Huge contested. That's a huge contested mark.
100%. It was our only contested mark in the last quarter, I think.
I thought you were going to say for the game. It would
felt like it.
I mean, Simpkin kicked 2 goals. The captain, he kicked 2 goals too. He could have kicked 3 or 4, yeah. And the sealer, where he really just calmed himself down, poised, walked in and kicked it. I think he's starting to get that midfield forward mix right, Simpkin. I think that like I actually think it's working.
Yeah.
Look, the forward line wasn't bad. We talked about Fisher. Obviously, had 3 behinds. Could have obviously scored. But yeah, look, you are absolutely right. The main one is Nick Larkey, 0-0. Didn't get near it. It just seems like his position in. I mean, look, I understand that our kicking was terrible and our transition was terrible, and a lot of the times we're kicking to the advantage of the defender, and it does put him, it does put him out of position. But he's got to either be smart enough to know that we're no good at moving the ball, and that he's got to change his positioning, or he's just got to be stronger at wrestling with the man. He just gets pushed off too easily. And then plays for a free. I know people say he plays for a free kick. I don't think it's as dramatic as people say, but he does, I think, exaggerate the pushing off.
Yeah, he's getting a lot of his possessions up the ground too, up wing, half back at the moment, almost
which is fine. But the problem is that you want him as your lead up key forward. Really, you need someone else coming up the ground to take those big marks to be the the relief.
You probably almost want Jack Darling doing what he was doing,
and ideally Tristan would be taking a more contested marks. Like that's probably the one thing Max does have is that you can bail out kick to Max, and if you're the opposition, he's down the line and you try and avoid him because he is such a good contested mark. That's probably Rowan Marshall does it really well as well. Darcy Cameron does it really, really well for Collingwood. He takes some fantastic marks. It's probably the one area of game that if I was going to be critical of Tristan, and it's hard to be critical of him because second highest ranked player over the last 40 games. So, I mean, kid, he's a second in coaches' votes. But if I was going to say one thing, it'd be, just some contested marks because that would make him by the clear number 1 ruckman.
Oh, look, without a doubt.
But I'm not. Some people are saying dropping Larkey. I'm not dropping Larkey.
No, he's not going to get
dropped.
That's
silly.
People can get that out of their heads because he's not getting dropped.
Like,
you don't drop players of that quality.
No, you can't be doing that at all. It just people were saying that, and I like.
Who are you bringing in for him? You're not going to replace him with someone that does,
that's exactly right.
Gold medal winner or All-Australian 2 years ago.
That's exactly right. Who are you bringing in? Who? What do you?
Harvey, who plays his, that's
like. The only thing I will say is that if you look at our scoring for the year, Zurhaar 24, Nick Larkey 24. I think Zurhaar's had a pretty underrated year in terms of. I was very critical of him at the start. He's been very good the last month, maybe 4 or 5 weeks. But yeah, obviously he's averaging 2 goals a game. Paul Curtis is averaging. He's on 22 and he played 3 less games.
Yeah.
He'd be on 30 plus if he'd played those 3 games. He would have kicked 4 on Richmond.
Oh, easy. Yeah. Look, we probably, if Curtis plays those 3 games,
we win at least one more.
Suspended for that, considering all of it.
Well, it looks like they've changed.
Yeah, we would have won one more game.
It looks like they've altered it slightly now. I reckon there's a little bit more common sense.
Of course, they have. Well, everyone seems to be getting away with murder compared to what he
Wow, that's exactly right.
I mean, we got Larkey 24s. Yeah.
Well, he's kicked 6 goals from the last 5 games, Larkey. Yeah. I mean, that is a worry. Zurhaar's kicked 13.
Yeah.
It's a worry.
Paul Curtis 9 games, 22 goals. Darling's kicked 11. Simpkins chimed in with 10. Then the rest single figures. Costanti, Parker have kicked 8. But did you like the mix of the forward line this week? I mean, dropping Malley, going a little bit smaller. We spoke off air about Fisher. He came in for a lot of criticism from supporters, but geez, he wasn't far away from being a match winner. I actually like him as a small forward because he's quite zippy, adds a bit of pace.
He kicks one of those goals, and he looks like it worked. He kicked 3 behinds. He kicked straight.
3 behinds and 1 out on a full.
Yeah, he kicked straight. At least half of those, 2 go through, and all of a sudden we're talking, oh my God, we found a small forward. So, 100% I preferred him up the ground and as a forward. Absolutely, I did. Absolutely, I did. I much preferred it. I don't know how many tackles he laid, but I
think
liked.
2.
Yeah, well, that's better than nothing. So
Not much better.
I like him up. I like him up the ground. Yep, I like him up the ground. I do like the smaller forward line. It does mean that you can get outmarked, but I think we look too tall if we go with 3 talls. Because Zerha plays as like the problem with if you think back to the days where we played like Waite, Ben Brown, and Drew Petrie, you had Lindsay Thomas who played tall. That's your Paul Curtis type, I suppose. And then you had 2 smalls probably most of the time were up there. Probably, I don't know. Geez, who was our forward line, do you reckon, in 2015 or 2014 elimination? We would have had some small forwards down there, I would have thought. I don't know who they were, but someone.
We had Kane Turner.
Oh,
but
the man, the myth, the legend. Yeah, well, at least he laid a tackle.
Turner, Thomas. We had Waite.
Yeah, the 3.
Waite, Petrie, Brown. Lindsay Thomas, Kane Turner. I think that was his first year or something.
I think he was 2014 because he kicked his. Here we go. Yeah, I found the game, the elimination final. Jared Waite for Petrie 2, Boomer. Obviously, Boomer would drift down there a fair bit. Robin Nahas. I'm not saying that was great, but what I'm saying is that we played a smaller. It was 2 genuine smalls, 3 talls, and a medium. You cannot play Curtis, Zerha, Mally, Darling, Larky. You're leaving 1 spot for a genuine small because none of them are super quick.
No, they're a bit immobile. So
yeah, like they're all, even the smalls play tall. So that it doesn't work for me. You have to play the 3, and then play Curtis, and then you have to play 2 smalls, and that's where my problem comes in. Fisher, that's fine, but I just don't think Costanti gets the job done. But anyway, I'm probably in the minority on that.
It sort of seems like it. I think everyone's in love with him, Jesse. So.
I don't know what people are saying. Yeah, well, like, what did he do on the weekend? What did he do?
Did
he do anything?
He didn't have much. Maybe 10 touches, did he? I can't remember now. Like I think I've seen it.
He had 4 tackles. I mean,
that's all right.
That a goal assist. So we'll give him that. How many disposals do you reckon he had? He wouldn't have had many, would he? What, like 9, 10 disposals, going at 40%.
Yeah, he butchered it a few times.
He butchers the ball. I'm not saying that Harvey should.
He works hard.
I'm not saying that Harvey should be in for Costanti because Harvey is again not a point different. Yeah, it has to be a different player, like a proper small.
Well, I mean, we might as well move on to the reserves because there's a lot more talking points there. I mean, let's talk about that. Unless you want to talk about anything else about this game.
No, it was just confusing. It was a weird game. It was confusing. I don't know what I think about it. I don't know if I liked it. I don't know if I don't like it. Hopefully, it's just a more entertaining game against Freo. I'm flying over on Friday, so if, it's meant to be raining. Maybe that helps with their talls, but worst case, I'll just tuck into the beers, I suppose.
Yeah, it sounds good to me. So, no, that sounds good. No, you didn't think about going. Oh, you couldn't get to Banbury, could you? So
no, it was just... I am going to go down there. I am staying down there, but I'm going down there after the game, so on the Sunday.
Oh, fair enough.
So I'm doing it in the opposite order.
See what the tourist attraction holds down there.
It'll be empty. I'll go see the mayor, get those keys, Zerha's keys.
Yeah, you have to get them off Cameron Zerha. Even he said that was weird, so yeah. But it
was a bit weird. Apparently he's a North fan, the mayor of Bunbury.
Well, I think we've got a few North fans.
We do have a few. We do have a few, but it's just funny that the mayor is. That's probably why we're there. He'd said, "Oh yeah, go get North over. Let's get them."
Yeah, give him a couple million. So bribed us with that. But look, just on that, it's not a bad thing. Look, we've got a good supporter base in Perth.
It makes infinitely more sense than the Tassie deal. Ideally, we'd play both games probably at Bunbury. Ideally. Or somewhere, like ideally they'd be at a different, because against West Coast, at least they don't play there. Like Freo, we're playing at Optus Stadium, like that. We are selling a game to them. It's a little bit more difficult.
Well, we'll probably go over there anyway. We'll travel once a year. So
Yeah, well, you're playing at least once.
least.
Oh, I think it's a fantastic deal. I think because we're playing less, we're actually playing more games in Melbourne. So we get more games in Melbourne and we're getting paid more. And we'd have to go to Tassie.
No.
Like, we're getting more money for more games in Melbourne. That's what people just need to think of it about. Don't worry about selling this game to West Coast and Freo rubbish. That who cares? Because we would have gone once, if not twice anyway. They might as well pay us $2 million to do what they were going to make us do anyway. It's the biggest no-brainer deal ever. It makes fantastic sense. I love it. I think it's a great idea. Good excuse to get, and it looks like a lot of North fans went over. So, all in all, good deal. But ideally for me, both games would be somewhere else, as in not Optus, because that gives them the advantage.
Oh yeah, huge advantage, but yeah, it is what it is. Like you said, it would be ideal if we could get both the WA teams in Banbury. But look, I mean, you're going to travel once, like we sort of mentioned. You're either going to play West Coast or Fremantle or Subiaco Oval, or Optus Stadium. You might as well just get paid an extra couple million to do it. So nothing wrong with that.
Play West Coast. Can we play Freo down at the other oval next year? Less of an advantage.
Yeah, that's yeah. I think they might rotate for the next couple of years.
Hopefully, that'd be nice.
West Coast, West Coast next year. We'll see what happens. Anyways, we'll go to the reserves. We were supposed to talk about them a few minutes ago, but they had an impressive 41-point win. Zach Bench on debut with 3 goals. Did you like what you see there?
Yeah, I did. He had 13 disposals. I think that's the main one. He had 13 disposals, had the 3 tackles. I think that's pretty important. I think he had a good first up game. It was against his old club as well. You think that he'd be a little bit nervous. I thought he was pretty good. I thought he was pretty good. Yeah, he showed a bit. I wouldn't be shocked if he's given a game this year.
Oh, look, I think
he's ahead of weeks. Yeah, I think he's ahead of where Payne is. Obviously, they're getting a different role at the moment. But the other thing with Banch is he had 7 contested possessions. So he did a bit right. I liked the game.
It just his size still worries me a little bit. He looks very, very small, very, very tiny. And unless he's got that Boomer Harvey, Cozzy Pickett pace, then he might struggle at AFL level. But look, it's worth a punt. If it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't. You don't lose anything.
At least he's got more goal sense than Constanti.
Yeah, that's probably. He's got an offensive game to him. Look, I think in the next couple of weeks they might make that move.
Yeah, I think they will.
Bench in for Costanti. Will Phillips, 22 touches and 21 tackles. A person came into my mentions before. He goes, "What did his opponent do?" He was playing on Dom Brew. He was a very good VFL player. 30 touches. It was a head-to-head list. Yeah, he's very stiff. Good skills as well, Dom Brew. But getting on Will Phillips, 21 tackles, but I don't think he's playing, is he?
I'll put it this way: Dom Brew. Yes, he had a good game. 30 disposals, 22 contested possessions. He went at 56% though. A lot of it was under pressure. He didn't have a centre clearance. I think that's a really important one to think about. He didn't have a centre clearance. That says to me a lot of it was under pressure. Like the fact that you had 30 disposals playing as a midfielder and you couldn't get a centre clearance is pretty incredible. 21 tackles, 22 disposals. 13 handballs, sure, but he had the 5 clearances. Like Dom Brew, yes, he had the 15 clearances, but from the centre, he was getting it more around the stoppage. I don't know what I meant to say about Phillips. I just don't know.
I think he's done, to be honest with you.
They obviously don't rate him. They don't rate him. There's a lot of fans that don't rate him. Like I'm big fielding in that. They just say, he's crap, he's no good. There's no point talking about him because I've just said it. I think he makes the AFL team infinitely better because he only gets 15 disposals or something, but that's because they play him in weird. Just play him as the midfielder. He should be getting the one getting 80% of midfield time because he actually wins the clearance. If he doesn't, he tries to win the ball and he tackles. They got to try something different. They just got to try something different. But maybe they'll Maybe that's why they're giving someone else a bit more midfield time.
Well, yeah, who knows? Well, look, that's what happens when you draft too many mids, Jesse.
Well, Geordie Payne's a mid now.
Yeah, look, and I was just about to. I was going to get to him. Geordie Payne is playing as a defensive mid almost. Only 12 touches, 13 tackles. Maybe he's been groomed once to play midfield once Phillips leaves, Jesse. That's all I can think of because
We need
he's
another
doing okay as a
midfielder.
small forward.
We need another midfielder.
Well, I mean,
I don't mind him pushing into the midfield because it adds a different dynamic. Don't get me wrong, but why aren't we trying him down back where he actually
You play junior footy there. Yeah.
like he would be a good small defender.
Yeah. I don't know.
It's worth a try.
It's a bit strange, the VFL. I'll have a few more thoughts about them. We'll just go through these players. Bailey Scott found a bit of form, 26 touches. He worked hard both ways in a game with not much space and a lot of stoppages in it. But he's probably needs another. We'd want to see another week of this, wouldn't we?
Yeah, we need to see him put this out for a few weeks. I still prefer him from upside on Dylan Stevens, but that's just me being not a Dylan Stevens fan. But yeah, we need to see this consistently to give him another shot.
Any concerns with Zane Dersma? Only 12 touches and playing wing now. They can't seem to find a position for him or settle him down.
Kicked a goal.
Yeah, he did kick a goal. But,
they played him down back. They played him down forward. They played him wing. It's a worry. I would have rathered any of the other of the top 11 picks from that draft. Take McCutcheon and Reid out of it. So that's 9. There's 9 other There's 9 other picks that I would have rather have taken that have had more impact right now than Zane Dersma. He's the worst player in that top 20.
Yeah, at the moment, yeah. Look, we're not writing him off just yet.
No, absolutely not. He's got a massive amount of upside, and we've seen some of his upside. Huge marks, he can kick a goal. I think he's got some great skill, but something's just not clicking. Whether or not he's not clicking with us, he doesn't click in the game style, he's not working hard enough, I don't know. But all I can say is that right now, we would be an infinitely better team, infinitely better, had we taken Nick Watson, Windsor, Curtin, Nate Caddy, Connor O'Sullivan.
Or even lost that last round game against Gold Coast.
And then you end up with Reid McCutcheon. But yeah, look, even Riley Sanders. But yeah, you've got Caleb Windsor, who's getting games playing on the wing for Melbourne. You got Dan Curtin, got Rising Star this week. Nate Caddy and O'Sullivan. You got 3 key position players there who are all getting regular games and are talented. Two of them in top 4 teams in Adelaide and Geelong. And he can't get a game at North. What does that say?
Yeah, look, he goes missing a lot of times in a game. Like, you don't see him, you wouldn't notice he's out there.
It does.
To be honest with you,
we could have taken Logan Morris with pick 31.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of Logan Morris. I would.
That's all right. We only took Will Dawson 10 picks ahead of him and don't play Dawson. So Logan Morris only won a grand final kick.
3 goals, didn't he, or something in the?
I think that was Lohman, but he
kicked. Did he kick? He might have
he kicked at least 2. He had a good final. Yeah. He's had a good year.
Yeah,
I highly rate him. Yeah, he's going to be an absolute talent. But we just miss out on those, and I don't know what we're doing. I don't know what to do with Dersma. I don't know what to do with him.
Look, to be honest with you, it's almost at the stage, and
the problem is if we traded him now, we'd get nothing.
You might still get something for him.
A second rounder, maybe.
Yeah, look. As soon as it's one of those things. Once you drive the car out of the parking lot when you buy it, it goes down in value. So once you draft a player, they go.
Like Phillips, West Coast probably give us a 4th rounder for him. I think Zane, maybe we get a late second. It won't be much. He'll get because they'll know that the other option is he just walks or he gets delisted and picked up somewhere. Now, I don't think that will happen, but yeah, it's not working at North. Maybe we can get a second rounder, maybe.
Well, it might be, yeah. I mean, it might be a case where you go to like someone like Essendon and say, we'll take Elijah Satsas, who's another high draft pick.
Another
Take him to go.
midfielder.
Yeah, well, on the wing, you can play on the wing. So
He can. He can.
Yeah, maybe you look at something like that because and think, oh, well, we'll try this, but because we've got a lot of
Best mates with Wardlaw as well.
Yeah, we've got a lot of those players inside forward 50, a lot of half forwards, Zerha, Curtis. I don't, we're going to have a couple of smalls.
Braden George.
Yeah, Braden George. We've got a lot of those inside forward 50 players. I just don't
Cooper
know.
Harvey, Shorty Payne, Bench.
There's.
I'm not saying they're quality options, but
there's a lot of competition for spots here. He doesn't have a clear run at it.
I don't know what we do with him. But anyway, that's
Yeah. Oh, look! At the end of the day, we got that pick for Ben Mackay, so
maybe
we can't complain too much.
might be karma.
Yeah, look, it probably is a little
Maybe
bit,
they should have given us a second round combo for him, like they should have, end of first or second, and we would have taken Logan Morris.
No, I probably still would have missed out on him. I wouldn't trust Rawlings to get anything right like that. But we're not. Just to be clear, we're not writing him off.
No.
It just doesn't look promising.
High talent, just not working at the moment.
Yeah, and I don't think it's fully his fault. I don't think he's a bad player. I just think the opportunities are limited because we've got too much of the same player because he's just drafted half forwards and midfielders over the last 5 years, and this is what happens. Top players like Will Phillips, Zane Duursma, who should be in your 22, Eddie Ford, another player who should be in your 22, but on balance, they can't get in. So, we could keep going on about this. Braden George with a couple of highlights in the last quarter, a one-handed screamer, a nice classy finish and a snap. Starting to slowly build, Jesse.
Yeah, he's a slow burn. You want to give him most of this year to play VFL. Maybe give him a game towards the end of the year if he can build his form up. Just need to get more disposals, but it's going to take him time. He's coming off a long way back, but he looks dangerous in front of goal. Like he's got a lot of X factor.
Yeah, he certainly does. Colin Jones slowly building. Have you got faith there, Jesse, that he could?
He hasn't looked terrible.
No, he's looked okay.
He looks a bit more. Dare I say it? He looks like a bit more trimmer. He looks a bit more mobile to mine.
Yeah.
I mean, he was on talent. He's probably got the talent.
Yeah.
He's probably
that's why we threw money at him in 5 years. He does have the talent and potential.
I mean, he should be the one who's trying to push Darling out of the side. He should be the one who's trying to take that third position instead of a Maley. That's what he should be trying to do. And it is possible, but he needs to take games with a scruff of the neck. But he's building. I'm going to give him a bit of a base.
Yeah, we played 3 rucks over the weekend. I think we played Dawson for a fair bit, Goad, and Colin Jones. All in the first quarter, I've seen him rotating through there. So
and Finbar had a hit out as well.
Yeah,
4 rucks for the game.
Oh, that's all we got is tools. Just on that, Jesse, I mean, we've got a lot of veterans in there, like the Tomlinsons, Darcy McPherson. Do you think this, I mean, we're winning games, but should we be prioritising development of our own players? I know Cooper Trimbar's injured, but
he'll play. He'll play.
He'll play soon.
Did you? I don't know if you watched it. He did an interview with. That was really good. I actually really liked that one. It was really down to earth. It was one of the better ones that I've watched in terms of player interviews with yourselves as podcasters. I thought it was really down to earth, which was nice to hear the experience from someone who had just been taken and had literally changed his life changed overnight. He kind of explained it really well, which was, you're put onto the maybe system. You're on a VFL list, but you're on the backup list, and you get a game when the AFL listed players aren't available. If we had more AFL listed players, like every one of our AFL listed players who's available will be playing the VFL team. And then they'll just get rid of one of the other players. And to be fair, if they were trying to develop a Geordie Payne as a midfielder, let's just use that as an example, they will push one of the VFL midfielders out and make them play a different position. So I think they are prioritising development. I just don't know why they're developing certain players in certain positions.
Yeah, it is a bit confusing. At the moment.
I'll put it this way: Will Dawson right now should be the player who comes in this week as the defender. in my honest opinion, because you know what you're getting from Cal Dawson. You know what you're getting from him. We're going to roll out Cal Dawson, Toby Pink, and Griffin Logue. Like that doesn't do much for me. Will Dawson much taller, much stronger.
He's looking huge. He looks huge, doesn't he?
Yeah, much taller, much stronger. Maybe a little bit less mobile, but that's okay. He's a big boy.
Like as far as muscle goes as well, he looks really huge. Like
I don't know why we're not playing him down back. I'd be playing him and Whitlock as the two key defenders down back in the VFL team. Tomlinson as the interceptor. That's what I would be doing. I don't know why they're trying to play him as a tall forward for.
And a pinchy ruckman as well.
I guess, look, there is, especially now that it'd be interesting to see once Trembath plays, which is going to be this week, because he's listed, he was ill. It was listed as illness, so he's playing this week. It'll be interesting to see, do they keep Dawson and play two tall forwards, or three, because did Tarrant play?
I don't think he did, no.
Or did they give him the flick?
If he did, he wouldn't have got touched it many times. They had a few of those, like Keast. The guy starting with S. I can't remember I couldn't say his name, Salzburger or something like that.
So
they had a few of the smaller guys.
Yeah, so they might have given him the flick. Maybe they will play two talls forwards, but I just think Will Dawson's a defender. This is my take on it. I think he's a defender. The only game like he kicked one goal too. So I'm not saying he's not a key forward. He did kick one goal too, didn't he? Yeah. But the only game that he's really ripped apart was against Essendon. To be fair, he was playing on Tyler Sellers, who got thrown down back because of Essendon's injury list. So, I mean, I probably could have kicked 3 on Tyler Sellers. With all fairness to Tyler Sellers, they're great.
Yeah, he's a forward.
Yeah. So, the problem is that we can see what the changes are going to be this week. Let's be honest, because that's what we're going to move on to now. They're going to bring Cal Dawson in, and that's not that's not an AFL standard defense. You can't be playing him and Pink. Pink's much better defensively. Pink is AFL grade defensively. Offensively, but that's fine. You can get away with it. Like your Billy Frampton, for example, at Collingwood, just really good defensively. Yeah. That's what you need. You need one player. They don't need to have any offensive skill. Like if you look at Collingwood, I tried to get Collingwood's team and put our team against it and go, if you wanted to have similar players in each of the positions to their team makeup, how would you do it? And it's a fascinating team. They go for mobile defense, if you think about it. Like you've got Jeremy Howe, who's an interceptor. Then you've got Frampton, who's just pure defense. And then you've got Darcy Moore. But Darcy Moore is pretty agile for a key. And Frampton is pretty agile for a key. And Howe's pretty agile for a key. It's a lot more mobile. I like it.
Yeah,
and I think Whitlock actually does that. To be honest, he's pretty quick for he's pretty. I think I see what they're trying to do with Whitlock. I think I can see why they picked him. Just he's similar type of mold in terms of gets the ball, can distribute it. He's a little bit more. It's a different type of player to what we've got, which is just these key defenders who don't do anything. Other than
he's got good skills.
Yeah, and that's something that our defenders don't have.
No, not many at our club have good skills, to be honest with you, Jesse. It's been like that for about 30 years since I've been following them. So, what can you do? I guess it's all part of the experience, the North Melbourne experience. Anyways, Jesse, I think I've held you up long enough. Any final messages out there?
No, I think that. Hopefully it's better than last week. That's all I can say. Freo are ranked 7th for defense and 8th for offense at the moment. So it is going to be fascinating to see what we can do because they are probably right middle of the road at the moment. They probably should be a little bit. They've had a couple good games in a row. I think they beat GWS and then beat the Suns back to back. I want to say. So 2 really good wins in a row. So they're coming off good form. But so are we. Weirdly.
Yeah.
Coming off.
Coming off a win. Good form.
Coming off a win.
Yeah.
Coming off a win, a loss, a draw, a win. That's probably our best form line. That's our best 4-week stretch for 5 years.
pretty much is, isn't it? So,
Oh,
look,
I know. Actually, I think it is. 2 wins, a draw, and a loss. If you think of a 4-game patch, skip the bye.
Yeah.
When's the last time we did that? I can't think of a time in the last 5 years.
would have been under Reece Shaw.
The only one I can think of is the 2 wins at the start of the Clarko year against Freo and West Coast, and then we lost every other game for the rest of the year, pretty much. But we've got a draw this time, so we're actually ahead of that. So yeah, it'd be the Reece Shaw era. I think it's been about 5 or 6 years. This is our best 4-week patch in 6 years. Oh boy, sad.
Yeah, as far as wins and losses goes, yeah, that's exactly right. But things are looking up.
If we beat
Jesse. I think
Freo, we're on.
Well, last time we played them over there, we knocked them off, didn't we? By that point, was that the last time we played them?
Oh, didn't they smash us?
No, wasn't it the round 2 game, or was there one after that? Maybe I'm not even too sure, to be honest with you. So,
God,
yeah,
when's the last time we played Fremantle?
I'll have to look that up.
We
played them last year.
We lost. Remember, it was at Marvel. We went. We were sitting there. We thought this is
round
glorious.
2 last year.
Yeah. We were there. We thought this is glorious. North ball
First
was
half.
right on.
North ball
Dominating. Absolutely on top of them, and then proceeded to just, oh my God, yep. We should have won that game.
Second half. Second half we fell apart.
We just need to North ball them for 4 quarters.
Yeah, then after that, it just we even went worse after that for the next 10 weeks.
I think that game broke us. I think that game absolutely broke us. It broke all the confidence.
Yeah, it doesn't take much, to be honest with you. So, yeah. Anyways, Jesse, thanks so much for coming on. Hopefully we'll chat next week, and hopefully we'll not to downplay the positivity or anything, but hopefully we'll have more good things to talk about next week. It was a bit of a tough one this week, and a tough one to judge.
No, sounds good, mate. Fingers crossed.
No, thank you, Jesse. I appreciate that. Thank you to all you listeners as well. I will try and be back later this week. Like, give a thumbs up, subscribe, leave a comment, tell your mates and whoever about it. That's it from me. Bye for now, and go Roos.